Today we will be discussing all of the crypto news, including the Sui hack, including Trump's meme coin, the FIFA layer 1 blockchain, or is it a layer 2? I don't know.
No one knows.
The largest startup acquisition in history, and Bitcoin's new all-time high. Stay tuned right now. Hi everyone, and welcome to the NFA podcast, your almost weekly podcast where we talk to you about your market, tech, finance, and blockchain and emerging tech insights. We deliver news and package it up really cute so that you can get all of your information to not make financial decisions, but to be more savvy with the choices that you do make. We're your hosts, Nish, Fraggers, and anyone else listening. Again, we don't give financial advice. And,
I can't believe that you actually have the pretense to say the guts. You have a lot of chutzpah. You just got like all the news to not make financial decisions, but you'll be savvier. That's self-confidence. That's self-confidence, lady.
A little bit. Just know what's going on in the industry, right? It's at least to build your foundation. I've been getting a lot of DMs of people on LinkedIn saying thank you. And they're like, why are you laughing? I'm being honest.
I'm not laughing. I just froze. Thank you for what? Let's start with that. Thank you.
No, I've got 3 DMs actually last week alone of people saying thank you for the podcast because it's how they've been learning about crypto. So I mean, it's cool. It's nice.
As long as they say they're learning from crypto from you, that's fine. Not learning
3
from
fans.
not learning about tech investing from me. I think that would be fine. So in general, you cover the crypto more. So talking about investing in crypto, we don't give financial advice, but gotta give you credit. You called it. We said from the start when we started this year with this podcast, 14 episodes already. This is episode 15. Would we hit an all-time high this year as Bitcoin was trading like around 70? And you said, drum roll.
Yes.
And here we are. I don't know what this gesture is, but it's really positive. That's all I'm saying.
At an all-time high.
Yeah, but my confession is, I didn't think. I also said that I thought with whatever and I know about crypto investing that we'd have an all-time high this year. But I really thought in Q4. If you would have asked me when, I would have said Q4. I'm sort of.
I would have said October. I didn't see it coming in May.
That's Q4. Just to be clear.
I know, but specifically
Pretty
October. The saying is sell in May and go away.
Yeah. But remember, come back in September.
Exactly. And for those guys who sold in May and went away, sorry.
Here's the bad part. So as we have discussed also on the podcast, to take a personal angle here, when it was at 70 or 74, I said I'll get back in at 85. And then somehow I forgot because I was busy. Yeah, you don't say you don't know that. Like, this is such a fake. Look at this. You're like a really bad Bollywood actress going, oh, I don't know. Let's do dance. Oh, so fake.
Okay,
you knew I didn't buy it.
No, hold on. You really didn't get in at all.
I didn't. And then, because here's my brilliant strategy, I said, so I go back in the stock market, go all in, make some money there. When Bitcoin drops, I'm going to sell some stocks and get back into Bitcoin. This was my plan. So I would not stay just in cash, but go back into tech investing, and then sell half of that and take half in crypto. That was my brilliant plan. Hiccup in this whole plan. I only bought 2 stocks. Usually I only buy 1 or 2 tech stocks. Again, this is why it's not financial advice. You're supposed to have a very diversified portfolio. I've never done any of that. I only buy what I understand. I understand within tech certain sectors. I bought 2. I sold my Palantir and I sold Nvidia. And I did great on it. To be honest, I got into Palantir at, I think at 13. I sold at 108 within 13 months. Let's face from 8 to, okay. Nvidia, I lost. Bought at 113, sold at 113. But like with the trading fees. But I just thought it's not going anywhere. It's too risky with the Trump tariffs. Getting out. So I bought Broadcom and I bought Arista Networks 50-50. Arista Networks has gone down. And I was really thinking Broadcom plus Bitcoin. Now, first go back into tech. Bitcoin's going to drop again. Arista Network's gone down. And at the same time, Bitcoin has gone from, 75 to 110. Here's why we do not give financial advice. Right there, people. President Trump, our fearless leader, has done it again. He just announced an hour ago he may introduce 50% tariffs on the EU. Immediately, Bitcoin dropped 2.5%. If you look in the last hour, the futures are down. Nasdaq and Dow will open down. Yeah, long story short, President Trump is helping me to get back into the crypto market.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, well, thank you, Trump.
And the dollar slid, which also made Bitcoin cheaper. Don't forget, one of the reasons why Bitcoin up against the dollar, it didn't go up as much against the euro. So there was arbitration there.
Ask for me as well as the audience? I'm sure people wonder what you mean by that. How does that work? What do you mean Bitcoin slid against?
So assume now that the dollar was higher than against the euro than it is now 3 months ago. Mm-hmm. If you would have sold your dollars and went into euro at that point, you have more euros than you get now for your dollar. Whereas the euro Bitcoin price has been going exactly the same as the USD versus Bitcoin price. So if you would have traded USD for euro before the dollar started sliding and then gotten into Bitcoin, you basically have cheaper Bitcoins. Simple as that. You get more Bitcoins for your dollar. So that's a whole different thing. So the market's been weird, but weirdly good. Mm-hmm. Fear and greed is at 76.
I saw back at the grid. 2 days ago, it was at 24.
No, it wasn't.
I swear.
That was altcoin season. Altcoin season. But altcoin season altcoin is at 26. So that's the weird part. So fear and greed is really high. Usually when the greed's really high, then altcoin season kicks off. But altcoin season hasn't really happened.
Yes, it has. Sui is up. Sui hit a new all-time high, which brings me to my news piece that Sui's DEX also faced a hack, hence the price kind of dipped. Solana's up. I don't know about Ethereum. Let me actually check. Ethereum's at 2,600. We don't have to talk about it.
The Pectra update did great for Ethereum, though. I mean, seriously, that really gave it a huge bump. But on the other hand, I don't know if you saw that news flash on it. It was sort of funny. So Cardano did the Plomin upgrade, and it did nothing because it just was announced just when Trump introduces tariffs. So it just slid with that whole negativity. And then Ethereum announced the Pectra upgrade the day before the UK-US trade deal was announced. So it just the next 24 hours it shut up, and everybody goes, "This is a great upgrade." But it had nothing to do with Ethereum. It just had to do with, I think, the whole market being positive. So Sui, in terms of performance of a token as an investment, is really kicking Solana's ass. Yeah. I'm not saying it's a better platform for developers and everything.
But it's one of those where you have to be careful because with any layer 2, layer 1 blockchain during these cycles, they spike up so fast. And if you're not quick to sell, you're going to miss taking profits. You're going to regret it. So yeah, it's important that if you are investing in these tokens for profit, just sell. And I mean, it's crazy because Polkadot had great infrastructure. Chain abstraction was a massive trend, but they just didn't ride the wave and, didn't make enough noise. And then Litecoin comes around and goes, I identify as a meme coin, and all of a sudden they're top again. Yeah, it is great. So everyone on Twitter, crypto Twitter, is saying that Sui got hacked. Sui did not get hacked. Sui's largest DEX got hacked. Now, a DEX is a decentralized exchange, which means that it's run by the people for the people. No one really owns the DEX. Like the people who created it generate fees, but it's fully decentralized. You don't provide any ID. No one holds any funds. Like it's fully clear. The way it works is projects will deposit their liquidity into these pools, and when the DEX got hacked, those liquidity pools were basically stolen. The overall hack was $223 million. It's absurd. So bad. Every month we talk about the huge hack, and we always say the same thing. We conclude it's just so bad for the industry that it still happens. Yeah. But $223 million, and they've managed to freeze around 160 mil. And what I found really interesting is that the DEX has paused trading on they've paused their smart contracts. It's not really decentralized. Yeah. So that's who ran this smart contract? Any idea? Like how was it on? Which contract? Who deployed the smart contract? Yeah, so
for the
It's
DEX?
CETUS. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but CETUS. And they're working with the entire SUI ecosystem to, I guess, recover funds. Miston Labs, which is SUI's foundation, and they've been working really closely with CETUS. And then CZ put up a tweet saying that he's working to help SUI with the hack. I think we'll just see how it plays out, but they've frozen $162 million.
I'm so disappointed by this all the time, being a non very technical person, just talking head in the space. Just here for my looks, people. Looks and hair. Well, she goes, well, I got news for you, brother. I got bad news after we tape. Now, the thing is, I loved so much the idea of DEXes when it came around. I remember when Uniswap and SushiSwap and all those kind of things. I just loved the whole concept of the fact that it was decentralized. Minimized. If you look at the cost of trading on a DEX versus centralized exchange, it's a huge difference, especially if you trade a lot. And the price discovery is quicker and fairer. And then I started looking more into it and came to learn about things like slippage, and then all these hacks started happening. And now I'm at the point where, having been so positive about DEXs for like 4 years, I would say, now, when we start listing Tracer, the project where I'm the co-founder, where you and I are both advisors, we will probably not go through a DEX just because it's too much. How do I say this? There's too much risk involved and too much things that clearly are not managed properly yet. That I think for security and stability, that makes us go to centralized exchanges. So Bitcoin is really up. The altcoins, I didn't think altcoin season has really happened because I just look at the numbers like per month and then 3 months and then a year. What is your view on, let's say, the coming, I don't know, 2-3 months, maybe?
There's definitely going to be a correction. This cycle has been so unpredictable. I want to say up only because I'm hoping for up only, but realistically, we just don't know. What's your prediction?
Since I'm so horrible at timing the crypto markets, clearly thinking that Bitcoin would have an all-time high in Q4, my guess is that there will be a slight correction. Bitcoin will not go up much anymore right now, and then people are usually going to take some profits again and then move into alts. So I think it is the start of altcoin season this summer. So even if Bitcoin goes to 115 or 120, if it doesn't really go to 150, which I don't expect it to happen soon in the next months, people are going to take some profits that, a lot of people bought in at 75 and 80 that were smarter people, and clearly I am. And they're going to take this. Think about how much you can do 30%. If they sell, they'll do 30% in 60 days.
Yeah.
It's insane. So then you're going to obviously take some profits and then spread out over some other coins. So I really think that there will be some altcoin movement. And what I hear from talking to several exchanges for the listing of Tracer is that they're very positive and very bullish on listing new tokens and seeing a lot of activity and a lot of demand in the market for new projects. So, which is interesting. Yeah, that I think is interesting. And because the exchanges have no reason to lie, because it's not in their benefit to list a token that's going to perform horribly, then they would rather stick with the tokens they have. It doesn't help if your customers are getting creamed.
But that's usually how it goes, right? Everyone spends the bear market building, and then as soon as Bitcoin goes up a little bit, everyone starts launching, sentiment changes, and then you ride the wave until Trump does something stupid. So, so here we are.
Talk about Trump doing something stupid. I just checked when we hit record. Trump coin lost 15% in the last 24 hours because he had the big dinner last night and then everybody sold.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody, but just enough to make the token drop 15%.
That's crazy.
MAGA, make it great again. Yeah, and my theory is that his family doesn't own a lot of stock. I still say the same thing. Because he clearly doesn't care about how the markets do. So I don't think they're very big in the stock market. That's my opinion.
Maybe, but then why is he tweeting about Solana and XRP?
That's not the stock market, Nish. That's the crypto market. I think they're in the crypto market. That's why he's saying all these bullish things about crypto. But he never talks positive about. He never does stuff that's really positive for the stock market. So this is why my feeling is their exposure is much bigger in crypto than it is in the stock market of the Trump family.
But insider trading is a lot more sensitive on the stock market than it is in crypto.
Clearly.
So maybe that's why he doesn't talk about it.
So what is your other news item that you brought for us today, other than
FIFA is launching a layer 1 on Avalanche, which doesn't make sense. So we'll just call it a layer 2. But Cointelegraph named it a layer one, and I mean, cool. Welcome on board, FIFA. I remember you talking about this, and I was like, oh, that's not gonna happen. FIFA's not gonna get in. They're not gonna launch their own.
The big news in startup land, in tech land, is really that OpenAI is the most heavily funded startup in history, and also the highest value startup in history. So just to recap, so OpenAI is now valued at over $300 billion, which is more than 3 times as high as Meta, Facebook, was worth when it went public, which made billions. OpenAI loses billions, however, worth 300 billion. Just raised 30 billion a few weeks ago at this valuation of 300 billion, and bought a company called IO, no capitals, small letters, IO, which already annoys the hell out of me. The thing is that so this company IO is a company that comes out of Love From, which is a company name I love, built by Jony Ive. And Jony Ive was the head of design at Apple for many years under Steve Jobs, and he had lunch with Steve Jobs every day. I won't say that's his claim to fame, but he's famous for that, so he must be super smart if Steve Jobs wanted to talk to him every day. Why I love Jony Ive is because he made life pretty. So from the iPod to the Macs to the iPhone, all these things he influenced as head of design in software and hardware, which is why Apple has this whole unified ecosystem. Long story short, $6.5 billion is the price OpenAI paid for a company that has no product that we have seen yet, but apparently it's coming to market the next year already, in 2026. Now here's the interesting thing. The rumor has it that Jony Ive is disappointed by the fact that people are so addicted to their iPhones. So it will be a device that has no screen, which is weird. And then the big question is, what is this device? It will be an AI device, but has no screen, which means the only way you can operate it, if it also doesn't have a keyboard, is by talking to it. Or it will have 1 or 2 buttons like the iPod Shuffle. The interesting thing is they made a video, Jony Ive and Sam Altman, where they introduced this acquisition. I will link to it in the show note. It's a 9-minute video. Okay. It's beautiful. You see Jony and I've walked across San Francisco Street, across Nob Hill, and I used to live there. And my girlfriend at the time was living down that street in Little Italy, North Beach, where they walked to, and you see Sam Altman walk, and Jony Ive really has got these cool white pants on, and then Sam Altman walks from the other side, and they meet at this cafe. But the cafe where they meet is called the Zoetrope Cafe. It's famous because it's owned by Francis Ford Coppola. He won an Oscar for a sequel, which had never been done, winning an Oscar for a sequel for Best Film. Best Picture. They sit there in this cafe and they start talking like it's unscripted. And I'm thinking, looking at this going, wow, startups are now making Hollywood-style productions in a cafe owned by the guy, the first man that won an Oscar for a sequel, one of the most legendary filmmakers ever, talking about a device without mentioning the device, without mentioning the iPhone. And it's the weirdest conversation between 2 men that you can see. And I'm thinking, when did nerds ever get the idea that they were cool? What happened to us? Why did guys think, let's go and sit and we really like, so, oh yeah, I agree with you. What do you mean? Of course you agree with me. I just paid you $6.8 billion.
I didn't even see this video. I'm so confused. I need to see it.
You got to see the video. I will link to it, and maybe I'll insert a clip here in the middle. I like the fact, for me, other than anything they say when they're talking, is the fact that they get filmed walking to the cafe as if they're not realizing they're being filmed. Having been on that side, I know you've crossed that sidewalk 20 times.
What was the goal?
This is a kickoff of a campaign where they introduce this device, but they basically introduce an acquisition. And it's so funny, they made a video about an acquisition of one startup buying another startup, but here's a software company buying a hardware company. That's what's interesting. And clearly what they're not saying, but they're saying is, we are building a new Apple. That's what the whole video is. The whole video is saying, we are talking metaphysically, we're talking spiritually, we're talking conceptually, we're like up there. And Sam Altman is so good at doing this whole bullshit routine where he pretends to be an intellectual, where I think Jony Ive is one. Again, I'm not neutral in this. I'm a huge fan of Jony Ive. The fact that they're doing this video to announce the acquisition of a startup, to me, signals something about the state of the startup industry. 1, there's too much money going into it. 2, we're taking ourselves a little bit too serious. And 3, take a load off, calm down, just build the fucking thing and show it, and then we'll do a test. But don't do a video of 9 minutes where you're talking about, interesting, cute. What is this thing? Is it scripted even? You gotta see it. I was so annoyed.
I need to watch it. I need to watch it.
But $6.5 billion for a startup without a device. My whole point where I was going with it is, this looks like it could be the breakthrough of voice. As in the 80s, when everybody finally accepted that the keyboard would be the central point of entrance to interact with the computer. That was the interface. You had to type commands to a computer. And then the graphical interface with the mouse changed all that. It came out of Xerox, and that Steve Jobs saw there and then copied. And then Bill Gates copied from Steve Jobs, which was the birth of Windows and the Mac. Long story short, what is interesting is it looks like they're saying a keyboard and a mouse is not the way you should interact with AI. What they're basically saying is, if I now, Sam Altman says at a certain point, have a laptop and I want to interact with ChatGPT, I have to open the app or a browser, type something in, a prompt, and then it gives an answer. And it's a convoluted way to interact with AI. What they're hinting to is there will be another way that they interact with AI. So, other than a laptop and your phone, there will be a new thing that you take with you. So it won't be a pin. It might have a camera. Mm-hmm. That will be interesting. But it won't have a keyboard and it won't have a screen. So $6.5 billion. They got some money to go.
Yeah, so, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing where that one goes. I'm going to start following that a bit closer. So you're going to love this really quick. You know how you were talking about alt season and, you know, these like meme coins and all of that. I got into this meme coin I think about a month ago now. And I got in at a $4,900 market cap. Yeah, like micro.
1,000. The market cap was lower than 5,000. 4.9. Yeah. Okay.
And today it's sitting at a $16,000 market cap, and I am hoping that this one makes me a millionaire. So pray for me.
No, I will not support you in this stupid endeavor. I think these things are like gambling. They're like going to the casino and saying, "Then pray for me." No.
But in $20, it's not worth $80.
All that you're hoping is that some poor schmuck who's from Bangladesh and who's like going there creating this H&M dress that you're wearing for like $1 an hour and a handful of rice and an egg is going to put his poor, hard-earned money into your meme coin and buying it at a $50,000 market cap. I hope
that he got in at a $4,000 market cap, so he can also be a millionaire.
Yeah, but he's gonna enter maybe at 50,000. You're gonna make 10x, and that poor bastard is gonna sit there with his bleeding hands from sewing his 11-year-old fingers together to make you that dress.
Some schmuck that's watching this podcast is gonna be like, oh, I need to find that token, and it's gonna enter when that token's at like 100 mil market cap.
This way you're wrong, young lady. We don't have any schmucks watching this podcast. We have smart people. We have almost 500 subscribers to the NFA podcast newsletter on LinkedIn. Yay. Link will be in the show notes. It's growing faster than my tech newsletter. My tech newsletter is growing slower than the NFA podcast. I wonder why.
Because we're more fun. Thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that you had fun. Subscribe to our newsletter, share our podcast. We will like your post if you tag us in it.
Follow us on socials, especially TikTok, because I'm going to try and put some clips from here, the short versions on TikTok.
That's right. Follow us everywhere.
Instagram. Yeah, follow us
except
everywhere.
Not in real life.